This is Evangelist Henry Walker. Thank you for tuning into our podcast, or maybe you're listening to me on my website at henrywalker.org, or maybe listen to me on my YouTube channel. We want to continue talking about the new year, which starts tomorrow, Friday at 6 p.m. And we want to center in on breakthrough, how the Father wants to give you a breakthrough. As long as you surrender everything to Him, you're ripe for a breakthrough. But let's go to Father in prayer first. Father, I thank you for another opportunity to minister to your people, Father. I ask you to use me just the way you want, Father. Let me say only what you want me to say, nothing more, nothing less. Help people open up their hearts and study the Word for themselves, Father. And we give you all the praise and the honor in the mighty name of Yahshua. Satan, I rebuke you from everybody listening out there. I rebuke you from this podcast, every succeeding podcast. Go and don't return in the name of Yahshua, by the blood of Yahshua. So we want to talk about the new year and how breakthrough is right around the corner. Let's go to the book of Micah. Micah chapter 2. Micah is right after Jonah. Goes the back of the word right before Nahum. Micah chapter 2. Micah chapter 2, verse 13. The breaker has come up before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gate and have gone out by it, and their king shall pass before them, and Yahweh on the head of them. So our Father goes ahead of us and gives us the breakthrough. He's the breaker. It's like in World War II, except this is much greater. The soldiers used to fall behind a tank for extra protection. The tank would lead them into the battle. Yahweh is our breaker, and He's going ahead of us. I'm going to read that again. The breaker has come up before them. They have broken up and have passed through the gate and have gone out by it, and the king shall pass before them, and Yahweh on ahead of them. He's our king. He's our Yahweh. So He wants to give us breakthrough. Again, we have to surrender to Him. Turn your flesh over to Him so He can mortify the deeds of your flesh, make you more like Yahshua, Romans 8, verse 13 and 29, and bring the fruit of the Spirit out of your life. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Galatians 5, verse 22 to 26. It's very, very important to receive anything from the Father. We want Him and all His power and all His majesty to help us, but we have to surrender everything to Him. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 37. Ezekiel 37. There's always a noise involved with breakthrough. I'll show you what I mean. Ezekiel 37, starting in verse 1. The hand of Yahweh was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of Yahweh and set me down in the midst of the valley which was full of bones and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And He said unto me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Yahweh Elohim, thou knowest. Again He said unto me, prophesy unto these bones, and say unto them, O ye dry bones, hear the word of Yahweh. Then said Yahweh Elohim unto these bones, Behold, I will cause breath into you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and bring up flesh upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in you, and you shall live, and shall know that I am Yahweh. So I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a noise, and behold, a shaking, and the bones came together, bone to bone. In verse 10, so I prophesied as He commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army. So here's that sound. There's a noise, a shaking, and bones came together, bone to bone. So if you have any relatives, anybody you know that are just not responding to the Father and His Word, start prophesying over them. Prophesy over them. And it may not get into their spirit right away, but it'll get into their bones. Prophesy. Prophesy that they're going to serve Yahweh with all their heart, mind, will, and emotions. They're going to serve Yahweh with everything. They're going to serve Yahweh and surrender everything to Him. Prophesy. and there'll be a noise. They'll call you on the phone. Something will happen. You got to prophesy by faith. I tell people, too, that in our own lives, if we go from Romans to Revelation and ask the Father to show us those scriptures that will make us more like Yahshua, then put a mark by them and start saying these scriptures into your life and for other people, too. Scriptures, again, that will bring you closer to becoming more like Yahshua. Like, the just shall live by faith. What did you say in the very beginning? Father, these scriptures that I'm saying are for me, my family, and anybody else you want to include. And I'm going to use the terms we, us, or are for us. So then you say, the just shall live by faith. We are just. We live by faith. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. Greater is he that's in us than he that is in the world. Again, from Romans to Revelation, ask the Father, give you those scriptures that you can speak into your life as well as for other people, that'll bring you closer to become more like Yahshua. It's powerful. So here we see dry bones. And the Father wanted to give a breakthrough to these dry bones, and there was that noise, that shaking. And somebody had to do what the Father said. And Ezekiel did. He prophesied. There was a noise. He shouted and prophesied. Verse 11, then he said unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost, and we are cut off from our parts. Maybe that's the way you feel. You feel that you're dry and nothing's happening in your life. You're not getting closer to the Father's purpose for you. I'm going to speak that into your life right now. I speak that the Father is going to touch you, expand you, raise you up to a new level as long as you turn everything over to Him. And you will succeed. Your purpose will be fulfilled because He'll do it in you. It's like your life up to this point is like a book and all these pages are written on, but there's a blank page coming. You can't write on it. It's the Father wants to write what He wants to do with you for the rest of your life. So you can't go through this world by yourself. You can't follow the majority. Just because you go to a large church doesn't mean that they're right. It's just the opposite, because Yahshua had 12, 11, back to 12. See, not everybody wanted to hear what Yahshua had to say. Not everybody wants to hear what I had to say. But what I'm saying is line upon line, precept upon precept. And that church you're going to, you have a lot of people, because they're compromising somewhere along the line. And there's another spirit there, and it's not the spirit of the Father. It's the spirit of Antichrist. The Father will be there to back up His word with signs and wonders, not some man-made words or words that are not even in His word. Holidays that are not even in His word, pagan holidays. And transferring the solemnity from the Sabbath to Sunday, when the Sabbath is the fourth commandment. In Isaiah 66, verse 23, in a 1,000-year period of time as a millennium, people will come from all over to Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahshua, from Sabbath to Sabbath. And Paul in Acts 13 preached to the Jews on the Sabbath in a synagogue, and the Gentiles said, come to us the next Sabbath and preach to us. The Sabbath is real. There's Constantine and his crew that changed the solemnity from the Sabbath to Sunday to worship the sun. That's where the name came from, to worship the sun. Remember in Ezekiel 8, you have 25 men that are turning their backs to the temple and worshiping the sun in the east. But it's important that you ask the Father, take this junk out of your life. These holidays that most believers are keeping are not in the Word. So why would you even think about following those holidays and celebrating those holidays? Yahshua is a Jew, was a Jew, always will be a Jew. He came into the Jewish race. The Father, He overshadowed Mary and spoke the Word into her womb, and the Word became flesh. And as a man, Yahshua is descended from David. So why are so many believers leaving Jewish out of their belief system, not even hardly thinking about the feast days that are all about Yahshua? He's fulfilled every one of them with the exception of the last three, which is the Feast of Trumpets, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and Tabernacles. And as the feasts come, we'll be talking more about those feast days. This is the beginning of the year. It's very strange that Nisan 1 is the beginning of the year, as I mentioned in Exodus chapter 12, verse 2 on the last podcast, and Exodus chapter 13, verse 4. Nisan Abib is the first day of the month. And you can go and access the Hebrew calendar on my website under calendar, click on calendar, click on heap count on the left, top left, then it says create calendar. Just make sure that all Hebrew dates are checked off, and you're right into the Hebrew calendar. That's the calendar that the Father moves on. That's the calendar that Yahshua kept, and he's still keeping. So it's important. But here you can see how there was a breakthrough in these dry bones. In verse 15, then the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Muro, take thou, son of man, a stick, one stick, and write upon it for Judah, and for the children of Israel, his companions, and take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Remember how the 12 tribes were split up? 10 went up north and 2 stayed. He wants to join it all together. He wants to bring Jews and believers together. We can share things with them that they don't know, and they can share things that we don't know. It's important. But there's breakthrough coming, and he wants to give you a breakthrough. You've been pushing, some of you, for years and years and years. This is the time for breakthrough. Psalm 102:13, the set time to favor us is now. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 5. 2 Samuel chapter 5. Second Samuel chapter 5, talking about breakthrough. And I have a message on my website titled Origin of Names. Read it. And we talked about on a previous podcast about these terms that so many of us have brought into our relationship with Yahshua and have pagan roots. Be very, very careful. Like the name Jehovah. Jehovah is a 15th century word, and Hovah, H-O-V-A-H, means wicked or trickster. So if you go to the concordance, in the Hebrew part of the concordance, number 1942, number 1943, it explains what Hovah means. Wicked, trickster. So every time you call him Jehovah, you're calling him wicked. I know you need to take that out of your vocabulary. Just so many other things on the origin of names. It's important you go back to that. Print it out and let the Father change your vocabulary. Like Lord comes from Baal. Baal's above the Lord of the... Call him Yahshua. And see, Yahweh, Yahshua sounds so Jewish. It's so sad. Yahweh, Yahshua sounds so Jewish. But it's the Y-A-H-W-H, Y-A-H-S-H-U-A. The Yah is the family name. What other name could the Father have but Yahweh? I'm sure he's wonderful, counselor, the Prince of Peace, the mighty Elohim. But Yahweh is his name. And remember, the Trinity is 3 aspects of the Father. 3 aspects. 3 functions of the Father. As the Father, in the Son, as the Spirit inside of us, making us more like Yahshua. Not 3 persons. We're one person. We're body, soul, and spirit, but we're one person. We're made in his image. The Trinity, the 3 persons, came from Babylon with Nimrod, Seminaris, and Tammuz, her son. Nimrod died. She fathered a child by somebody else and said, Nimrod came back. He's God. I'm the mother of God, and this is the Son of God. And Constantine wanted to bring that into his form of Christianity, and that's the reason why. And they brought the holidays, these pagan holidays, because he wanted to bring everybody into his form of Christianity, including the pagans. He wanted to make Rome to be Christianized. 2 Samuel chapter 5, and verse 17. And when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David, and David heard of it and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. So the first thing when he was attacked, David went into the hold to pray and to worship the Father. He did the right thing. See, you feel like you're surrounded. You feel like, man, you're maybe on your job, people are against you, they want to get you fired and everything. Just start praising the Father. See, we can have scripted praise. You could write down some things from a song and start praising the Father, which is really great. But you could have unscripted praise too. When you're in the middle of a trial, things are coming against you, people are coming against you, and all of a sudden you say, Father, just talk to me. And he'll bring a praise out of you. And that sound is what he's looking for to give you the breakthrough. In verse 19, and David inquired of Yahweh, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines, and wilt thou deliver them into my hand? And Yahweh said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into your hand. And David came to Baal Perizim, and David smote them there, and said, Yahweh had broken forth upon my enemies before me, as a breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perazim, the place of the breakthrough, the place of the breakthrough. How did he get that breakthrough? He went into the Father's presence and praised him. And he looked for instructions from the Father. Don't do it alone. You can't do it alone. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust your opinion. Don't trust your flesh. Your flesh is the biggest enemy. That's why you got to turn the flesh over to the Spirit of the Father, so you can mortify the deeds of your flesh. The only access that Satan has is through your flesh. In verse 21, and there they left their images, and David and his men burnt them. These images, remember in Deuteronomy, the Father told Moses and them, when you go into the land, break down their images. Don't worship their gods. I've given you the land. I've given you the land without scarceness. That's him. He gave them the breakthrough. He's giving you the breakthrough too. In verse 22, and the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of Yahweh, he said, thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them and come up upon them over against the mulberry trees. And let it be, when you hear the sound, there's that sound, of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, then thou shalt bestir thyself, but then shall Yahweh go out before you to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so as Yahweh had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba until it came to Gaza. See, wait for that sound. See, he responded to the sound that David made by praising him and praising him. Now he's giving the sound. Now you go. Here's the victory. He gave him the breakthrough. The breaker went ahead of them. Wait till I go ahead of you and follow me. That's what he told Peter in the last chapter of John. Up to this point, Peter, you're able to go wherever you want to go. But they're going to take you when you're older, and they're going to put you someplace where you don't want to go. But just remember, follow me. And sure enough, in Acts chapter 12, let's turn to Acts chapter 12. The book of Acts chapter 12, verse 1, talking about breakthrough. And Peter needed a breakthrough. Peter needed a breakthrough, but he had to follow Yahshua. And that's what he said in the last chapter of John. They're going to take you where you don't want to go, but just remember, follow me. Those words are very important to all of us. But in Acts chapter 12, verse 1, now about that time Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. The devil's only after certain people. One of the most greatest compliments you could have is that the devil knows your name. Remember, the 7 sons of Sceva in the book of Acts tried to come against some demons in the name of Yahshua, who Paul preached, and said, hey, we know Paul, the demon said, we know Yahshua, but who are you? See, devil didn't know their name. But look at Paul being mentioned in the same sentence as Yahshua. You study his writings, you can see why, man. His attitude after he got knocked off the horse. All he wanted to do was serve Yahshua. Verse 3, and because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread. This is around the Passover time. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter. Easter, that's not the word. In the Greek, it's Pasch, P-A-S-C-H. Those King James people put Easter in there. Easter is worshiping the goddess Astarte, A-S-T-A-R-T-E. Don't celebrate it. Yahshua rose on Nisan 17. We'll talk about that. He died on Nisan 14 at 3 p.m., rose on Nisan 17. It was Wednesday at 3 p.m. he died. And Nisan 17 was Saturday, the Sabbath, at 3 p.m. 72 hours. And that fulfills the 3 days and 3 nights. He could never have died on Friday and rose on Sunday morning. So on Saturday, after the Sabbath, which was around 6 p.m., they came to the tomb. Some women, they couldn't come before the Sabbath because they didn't want to touch a dead body. They didn't have the faith. So the only people that saw Yahshua rise were the keepers of the tomb. On Saturday night, they came, and he had already risen. So there's no way that he rose on Sunday morning. Matter of fact, on that Saturday night, he appeared to the apostles in the upper room. He walked right through the wall and said, hey, you have anything to eat? And he gave them honeycomb and fish. So it's important. And in my message page on henrywalker.org, there's a message, when was Yahshua born? When did he die? When did he rise? It's on there. And it's a great message, right from the throne. All the stuff by Easter, get it out of your system. It's worshiping the goddess Astarte. Supposedly came down in an egg. She's the goddess of fertility. That's why they have bunny rabbits. And any service they had towards her They would kill babies, put their blood on eggs. That's something you want to part of your walk with Yahshua. You can't bring that into your walk with Yahshua. He doesn't want it. So you're out there by yourself. You have Easter egg hunts, some of you. Then you have Valentine's Day, which is about a demon who wants to give some people heart attacks. Then you have Christmas, which is worshiping the sun god, Mitra. That's why you have the bulls on the tree. And you want to bring that into your life, and you expect Yahshua just to wink at it and say, hey, don't worry about it. No, it's a direct affront to him. Indirectly, some people directly, you're worshiping these pagan gods. And Mithras, by his followers, quote unquote, is called the creator of the universe, and that's a direct affront to Yahshua. The Father created everything by his word. Yahshua is his word become flesh. So it's up to you, but you could really be in lots of trouble by some of these holidays. And I don't know if they will lead to hell, but that's up to the Father. But man, it's a dangerous thing to do, is to worship other gods other than Yahweh, Yahshua, directly or indirectly. You can't plead ignorance. You got to study the word for yourself. Just like the Berean church, they search the word daily. They say, well, I got to celebrate Christmas with my kids because they get presents. Well, Hanukkah is a feast that Yahshua kept. Why aren't you walking in his footsteps? It's so obvious. It's in December, and the Jewish kids get 8 days of presents. Then there's so much beer, wine, and alcohol around the holidays, and just in general, you bring that stuff into your house, you put it in your body, and you have demons activating in your body and your life. And you wonder why your family is messed up and there's strife in your family, because you're bringing that junk into your house. You might say, well, I don't want to celebrate Christmas anymore. Well, get the decorations out of your house. It's like a homing device. It brings the devil right in there. In verse 5, Peter therefore is kept. So the word Easter is really Passover. It's by the Passover season. They put Easter in there because they wanted to promote Easter. And you can call that Sunday Resurrection Sunday, but it's not Resurrection Sunday. He rose on a Sabbath. There's no other day that he would rise, because the Sabbath is his day. In verse 5, Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the assembly unto the Father for him. And when Herod would have brought him forth, the same night Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and the keepers before the door kept the prison. And behold, the angel of Yahweh, this is Yahweh himself, Yahshua, came upon him, and a light shined in the prison, and he smote Peter on the side, raised him up, saying, Arise so quickly, and his chains fell off. And the angel said unto him, Gird thyself, and bind on thy sandals. And he did. And he said unto him, Cast thy garments about thee, and follow me. Just what Yahshua said. This is Yahshua saying, follow me. He's saying the same thing to you. Follow him, and get that breakthrough. And he went out and followed him, and wist not that it was true, which was done by the angel, but he thought he saw a vision. When they passed the first and the second ward, they came into the iron gate that leadeth unto the city, which opened to them of his own accord. And he went out and passed on to one street, and forthwith the angel departed from him. And Peter was astonished. He went to the people who were praying for him. They didn't believe that he was free from prison, but he was. Look at the breakthrough that Peter had. You could have the same breakthrough today. This is the beginning of the new year. You have to get rid of the old to go to a higher level. You have to leave something behind to get into a higher level. You can't take it with you. These things that you've been following for years, tradition in your family, after families, these holidays and these things that you never really researched, you just followed them, they could get you in trouble. Why would you want to be involved in those things? Search them out. Go on the internet yourself. Search the origin of them. Go to my website. Each one of those pagan holidays is explained in my website at henrywalker.org under messages. And I have 2 books on the bottom of my message page. One is noon. It talks about the different hours of the day when Yahshua wants to move the most. There's a certain hour of the day where his healing anointing is greater than any other hour, and that's in that book. Noon. It's free. And each day begins at 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 p.m., a 24-hour period. 12:01 a.m. doesn't even make any sense. It's set up by the pagans. You don't want to base your life on a pagan timetable. And January 1st, beginning of the year, is all paganistic. It was a day of drunkenness, revelry. Why do you want that into your life and your walk with Yahshua? There's no room for that stuff in your walk with Yahshua. He will not permit it. If you keep going that way, it's a possibility you're going to bust hell wide open. But you're being warned today. You're accountable today. Get that stuff out of your life. If it's not based in the word, on the word, get it out. Well, the last podcast I did is the road to hell is paved with tradition that's not in the word. It's important. And the second book on my website under henrywalker.org on the bottom of the message page is the Trinity really a mystery? It explains that the Trinity is the Father manifesting himself in three different ways. As the Father, in the Son, as the Spirit that's making us more like Yahshua. See, in Genesis chapter 1, it's Elohim, which means he has so much power. It's not plural in persons. It's plurality of attributes. He's so powerful. But that means nothing unless he's going to use that power to help us. So when you see Yahweh Elohim, that means not only do I have the power, I want to use my power to help my creation. So you can see the mercy of the Father operating in Yahshua. Then you can see his power by his Spirit inside of us, giving us power. In Acts chapter 1, verse 8, Yahshua said, "You shall receive power after the Spirit of the Father comes upon you, and you shall be witnesses unto me in Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the earth." It's that power. It's all about the Father, though. It's another role for the Father. There's only one Spirit. Ephesians 4:4, he is the Spirit, and he is Spirit. It's like a person could be a president of Chrysler. He could be a vice president of Toyota, and he's got a wife and kids. That's three aspects of him, three roles of him, but he's not three persons. And if he's introduced to somebody, say, well, here is John. He's the president of Chrysler. He's the vice president of Toyota. And he's got a beautiful family. There's three aspects of him. It's important. How important is only the Father knows. Bible says in Revelation 4:2, there's only one sitting upon the throne. Why, if there are three, why aren't there three thrones? The book is free. Is the Trinity really a mystery? And any question you may have of something that you've been erroneously taught is entered in that book. We're going to pick up next time as far as breakthrough. But I want to talk to you about, this is a pro-life ministry, and we believe that life begins at conception. John said in 1 John, "Little children, you have known the Father." How do we know the Father? At the moment of conception, we were introduced to the Father. Of course, we could not have been conceived without the Father being the agent of conception. And remember Psalm 139, I read to you from the Message translation, Psalm 139, verse 13 to 16. It'll be on my notes on this message too. Powerful. And when Mary went to Elizabeth's house, Elizabeth said, "As soon as you saluted me, Mary, the babe leaped in my womb for joy." Not the tissue. I want to read some facts to you about the baby's development. 18 days from conception, the heart begins to beat with the unborn baby's own blood. And 28 days from conception, an unborn baby has eyes, ears, and even a tongue. It's not a tissue. 28 days from conception, muscles are developing along the future spine, arms, and legs are budding. 42 days, the skeleton is formed. The brain coordinates movement of muscles and organs. Reflex responses have begun. 42 days, brain waves can be detected. The jaw, people are killing. Killing these babies. Brain waves can be detected. The jaw forms, including teeth and taste buds. And 45 days from conception, the unborn baby is making body movements. A full 12 weeks before the mother may notice such stirrings. By 7 weeks, the chest and abdomen are fully formed. At 52 days, spontaneous movement begins. The unborn baby then develops a whole collection of moves over the next 4 weeks, including hiccuping, frowning, squinting, furrowing the brow, pursing the lips, moving individual arms and legs, head turning, touching his or her face, stretching, opening the mouth, yawning, and sucking. This is after 52 days. At 8.5 weeks, the baby's fingerprints are being engraved. Eyelids and palms of hands are sensitive to the touch. Wow. At 9 weeks from conception, the unborn baby will bend fingers around an object placed in his or her palm. Unique fingerprints appear. Thumb sucking may occur. At 10 weeks, the unborn baby's body is sensitive to touch. He or she squints, swallows, puckers up, brow and frowns, eyelids, fingerprints, and even fingernails are evident. This is all very important. At 11 weeks, the unborn baby now practices breathing, since he or she will have to breathe air immediately after birth. The stomach muscles can now contract. The unborn baby urinates. Vocal cords and taste buds form. Facial expressions and even smiles are evident. This is somebody that people want to kill. At 12 weeks, the unborn baby's sex can visibly be determined. And the unborn baby's eyes, ears, and face begin to display distinctive characteristics. At 14 weeks from conception, the heart pumps several quarts of blood through the body every day. The unborn baby's eyebrows have formed and eye movement can be detected. 15 weeks in the growth development of the unborn baby, a wild production of nerve cells begins and continues for a month. A second surge will occur at 25 weeks. But now the unborn baby has an adult's taste buds. At 4 months, he or she is actively moving about inside the safety of the womb. The unborn baby turns, kicks, and even somersaults, some of which can now be felt by the mother. It's so powerful when you hear this stuff. And at 4 months, bone marrow is now beginning to form, and the unborn baby's heart is now pumping 25 quarts of blood a day at 4 months. And people want to kill a life. At 4.5 months, the unborn baby's ears are functioning by the end of the 4th month, and he or she hears the mother's heartbeat, as well as external noises like music. The unborn baby is also able to experience pain. Life-saving surgery has been successfully performed on babies at this age. It's powerful. I just want to read some of those to you so you can see that the baby is not a piece of tissue. It's a life. And abortion is murder, not legally, but in the eyes of the Father, it's murder. And if you've had an abortion out there, repent, ask the Father to forgive you, and go on. And please, don't put people in office. Don't vote for people to office who believe in abortion on demand. They're guilty of murder, and you're guilty of murder in the eyes of Yahweh. The doctor, it's all murder in the eyes of Yahweh. Not legally, but it's murder. And you're going to have to live with that the rest of your life. Repent, and Yahweh will take those scars away. Ask Him to forgive you. It's important. I'm just going to read some of that Message translation to you right now. Psalm 139, verse 13 to 16. Oh yes, you shaped me, first inside, then out. You formed me in my mother's womb. I thank you, High Elohim. You're breathtaking. Body and soul, I am marvelously made. I worship in adoration, and what a creation. You know me inside and out. You know every bone in my body. How can the tissue have bones, right? You know every bone in my body. You know exactly how it was made, bit by bit, how it was sculptured from nothing into something. Like an open book, you watched me grow from conception to birth. All the stages of my life were spread out before you. The days of my life all prepared before I ever lived one day. See? It's a plan, it's a purpose, and people are killing that purpose. How long can the Father put up with it? I don't know. I don't know how He's put up with it this long. From what I heard, it's like 200,000 babies in the United States have been aborted since January. 20 million worldwide. It's a shame. But if you go to a ministry and they're not coming against the spirit of abortion as death, murder, then you got to get out of the ministry, because that spirit of death, if it's not being exposed, will follow people. If it's in the congregation, it'll follow in the assembly, it'll follow people home. Get away from that ministry. It needs to be exposed every time a minister is talking to people. It has to be. Any thief fears being exposed. The light shining on him. Abortion is murder. It's a spirit. It's the same spirit that had caused people to pass under the arch of Baal, bring the babies to Moloch in the fire, and put the babies in the fire as an offering to Moloch. It's the same spirit. Please, don't vote for people who are pro-abortion, abortion on demand. There's some that want to kill a baby when the head is outside the womb, partial birth abortion. Please, if you're a believer, anybody, don't vote for those kind of people who stand up for that. They're just two-legged devils. They have no feelings. And Don't be caught up with that, because you'll be guilty just like them of murder in the eyes of the Father. Not legally, but in the eyes of the Father. Remember, some people make a lot of money in the abortion industry, killing innocent babies. And Satan gets more power if a baby is aborted. So pray against the spirit with me. Pray that the people open up their hearts and hear the Father. That's the life inside of them, not a tissue. But let's go to the Father in prayer right now. Just put your hand on a computer or on your cell phone. And if you don't know that you're saved, just say after me, say, Father, I believe that Yahshua died for me. I give my whole life to you. Mortify the deeds of my flesh. Make me more like Yahshua. Bring the fruit of the Spirit out of my life. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Come into my heart. Fill me with your Spirit. Thank you, Father, for bringing me into your family. Now, if you need a miracle in your life, just believe with me. If you said that prayer, or maybe you submitted everything to the Father before, just receive a miracle where you need it the most. But first, Satan, you're a liar. I rebuke you from anybody listening out there. Go and not return in the name of Yahshua, by blood of Yahshua. Heavenly Father, the people that are listening out there, they need a miracle, Father, where they're hurting the most. By your stripes, Father, they were healed. So touch people from the top of their heads to the soles of their feet, Father. Open up people's arteries, valves, Father. Touch people's hearts physically, Father. Touch people's eyes, Father, whether it be glaucoma or blindness. Touch people's eyes right now, Father. Touch people's ears, whether it be deafness, ringing in their ears. Touch them right now, Father. Or touch people in their joints, Father. Oh, Father, just heal them. Father, just take that pain away that they have, Father. Oh, Father, discomfort in their bodies. Touch them right now. We can only look to you, Father. You're the only one that can help them, Father. So I thank you and I praise you and I worship you. Father, keep blessing this ministry. Expand this ministry to more and more people, Father. Keep strengthening my wife and I. And I thank you and I praise you for that, Father. And we give you all the praise and the honor in the name of Yahshua. So remember, there's a brand new year starting at 6 p.m. today. Ask the Father to take any baggage out of your life to go into the new year. If there's any tradition in your life that's not in the Word, ask Him to help you get rid of it. It's important to go into your new beginning. Remember, we talked about how there's a book written on the page that you're reading, but the next page is all blank. He wants to fulfill His purpose in your life starting this new year. But you got to get all that baggage out. You don't want anything to separate you from your Father. He loves you so much. And examine the Word for yourself. Don't rely on what somebody else says. Examine everything I say. Everything I say is line upon line, precept upon precept, but search it out yourself. And go into this new year with power and strength and looking forward to what He's going to do in your life and with your life. Don't be part of the majority. Be in a minority. The road to hell is wide, and many are found on it. The road to heaven is straight and narrow, and few are found on it. So just pray about what I'm saying and search the Word. Like the Bereans, search the Word daily. Remember that the Father is also preparing us for His spring feast days. We'll be talking more about that later on as the feast days approach, especially Passover, the day that Yahshua was born and He died. He fulfilled every one of those spring feast days. He fulfilled every feast day with the exception of the last three: Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, and Tabernacles. If you want to email us, you can email us at contact@henrywalker.org, contact@henrywalker.org. If you have any praise reports or if you have any questions, we're glad to hear from you. Also, as you may know, we feed the poor people in Nassau, Bahamas every week. And if you want to donate to a ministry course in that area or any other ministry course, just go to podpoint.com/Henry Walker. That's podpoint.com/Henry Walker. And just go right up to the donate button and click on the donate button. That backslash is right below the question mark on the computer. And if you want to subscribe to this podcast, go to podpoint.com/subscribe. youtube.com/Henry Walker. On the top of the page is a subscribe button. Just click on that and you'll be notified of every new message. So remember the next time this evangelist Henry Walker saying, greater is the Father in you, your daddy, than he is in the world.